Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we are going to be covering a few things, starting with the distance and midpoint formula, before finally talking about the equation of a circle. Hey guys, and welcome back. This is Franck with another video. If you have not done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel to get more content like this. Today we're going to cover the distance formula, the midpoint formula, before finally talking about the equation of a circle. And so, let's just jump right into it. So let's say you have 2 points. The first point P1 of coordinate x1, y1, and the second point P2 of coordinate x2, y2. How do you find the distance between these 2 points? Well, there's a formula for that, and the formula is d for distance equals to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Let me give you an example so I can show you how this formula actually comes to life. So in my example here, I'm going to have the first point P1 equals to negative 2, negative 1, and the second point P2 of coordinate 2, 2. All right, so let me put them on a graph here so you can see exactly what's happening. So here I'm going to have the point P1 of coordinate negative 2, negative 1, and then I'm going to have the point P2 right here of coordinate 2, 2. And as you can see here, the line that goes through them is this particular one, and I'm looking for the distance d here of this particular segment. If you look on the bottom here, this particular distance is going to be the difference between the x values. So it's going to be x2 minus x1. And you can see right here, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And the distance on the right here is going to be the difference between the y values, which is going to be y2 minus y1. And you can see here, it's 1, 2, and 3. And so how does the formula come to life? If you remember your Pythagorean theorem, for any rectangular triangle, you have c squared equals to a squared plus b squared, where c is the larger side. Well, in this case, d happens to be the larger side, so you're going to have d squared equals to a, which in this case is going to be x2 minus x1. So we're going to have that squared, and then b squared, which in this case is going to be y2 minus y1 squared. So I can go ahead and plug the values for these particular variables. And so I'm going to have here d squared equals to 2 minus 2 squared plus 2 minus 1 squared. And so that's going to give me d squared equals to 16 because that's 4 squared, and 9 because that's 3 squared. Together, that will give me 25. And so if you take the square root of 25, you will get that the distance between those 2 points is going to be just 5. All right, so next, if you look at the title of this video, we're also concerned with the midpoint. In our graph here, the midpoint is found right here. So how do you find the coordinate of the midpoint in this case? So the midpoint is like the average. So all you have to do here is take the averages of your points and you should be good. And so for that, I'm going to have m here equals to the averages of x and then the averages of y. And so how do I average the x? I'm simply going to add them together and divide it by 2. And I'm going to do the same thing with the y. So I'm going to have y2 plus y1 divided by 2. Finally, I can just plug my values in. So I'm going to have here 2 minus 2 divided by 2 and 2 minus 1 divided by 2. That's finally going to give me m, my midpoint, equals to the point of coordinate 0, 1 half. Okay, so the last thing we need to talk about is how to find the equation of a circle. So let's say that you have a circle centered on the plane at the point C for center of coordinate h, k. And you also know that the radius of this circle is r standing in for radius. And so the equation for this circle should be able to represent all the point P of coordinate x, y because they are unknown, such that the distance between C and P is just r, the radius. And so therefore, we can just use the distance formula here to obtain the equation of a circle. And so we're going to have the difference in x minus h squared, plus the difference in y minus k squared, equals to the distance squared, which in this case is r. So this right here represents the standard form for the equation of a circle. And so let me give you an example here. So if I were to ask you to find the equation of a circle centered at C equals to 0, 1 half, with radius r equals to 5 over 2, all you have to do is plug this point and the radius into our equation here, and you would get x minus 0 squared, because h is 0, plus y minus 1/2 squared, because k is 1/2, equals to 5/2 squared, because r is 5/2. And so this standard form of our equation is really all we need for this equation of a circle. But sometimes you will be asked to write the equation of a circle in a general form, which simply means to open this whole thing up, so fold it over, and send everything on one side of the equation so that you have 0 on the other side. To do that here, we're going to have here x squared, because the 0 doesn't count. And here, we're going to fold this particular expression, y minus 1/2 squared. That's going to give us y squared minus 2 times 1/2 y, which is going to be negative y, plus negative 1/2 squared, which is going to be here 1/4. And on the other side, we're going to have 25 divided by 4. And so finally, we can send everything on one side of the equation so that we have 0 on the right. That's going to give us x squared plus y squared minus y minus 6 equals to 0, because 1/4 minus 25/4 is the same thing as 24/4, which is just 6, negative. And so this here is going to represent the general form of our equation of a circle. And then you are done. And so next time, if you tune in, I'm going to show you how to find the center and the radius of a circle given its general form. That's going to require us to complete the square, but I'm going to talk about it more next time. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.